Today we're going to be building an AI agent from scratch in plain JavaScript. You could be using LangChain, LlamaIndex, or any of the numerous agent frameworks to build your app. Or you could use a while loop. Let's build a new AI agent from scratch while avoiding unnecessary distractions and keeping things simple. So to start, I'm going to go inside the OpenAI playground. This will let us look at function calling, or tool use, they also call it, without having to actually write up any of the code yet. So in order to build an AI agent, what we need is functions, or tools. There are two words out there for this same thing these days. The idea is by adding functions, you can let the AI interact with other systems. So that's exactly what we're going to do. To start out, we're going to use a simple example. We're going to start off with a built-in example and then expand on it a little bit. Actually, first, let's try without functions. What if I say, how is the weather in New York? And I run it. It doesn't work because it doesn't have access to weather data, but we could give it access. So that's what functions are all about. Let's add the example function and try again. Let's add a function. And if you go into examples, getWeather is one of their built-in examples. And this JSON is how they tell the AI what function to use. If you've seen this before, then that's great. But otherwise, don't worry about it because we actually don't have to write much or any of this. We can have OpenAI generate it for us, which we'll do later. So let's just take this as is. Let's use it. And now let's try running again with the same prompt. How's the weather in New York? And you see that it gave us a function call. So this is acting a little bit more like an agent, although it's really just calling one function. It's not acting on the responses of those functions and deciding what to do next yet, but we'll get there. So in this case, we could respond in plain text, and I just looked it up. About 6 degrees Celsius. Back in here, let's tell the AI the answer. Celsius. So you can see that now it has the answer, or rather it has whatever answer we gave it. We can say in the middle of winter, it's hot in New York, which is clearly not true. And it will believe you. So let's clear these up. Now, to act a bit more agent-like, let's expand on this example. What if we just ask it, how is the weather? Clearly, it doesn't know where we are, so let's see how it responds. There we go, asking for the weather. And intelligently, it selected Fahrenheit, since that's what everyone uses in the US. And we can also use this as an opportunity to show that usually APIs respond with JSON, so we can respond with JSON too here. We can say temp C, we can call it whatever we want, and we'll hope that the AI is capable of understanding. Okay, so the AI didn't automatically convert, but of course, we also responded in a weird way. It asked for Fahrenheit, and we gave it Celsius. What if the response had both? Let's remove that. Try it again. Great, that's exactly what we wanted. So you can see that the AI asked for more information, and we provided that information, and then it responded as we would want. But since both browsers and mobile apps can access some form of location data, let's add another function in here. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove that. Let's make it so that the AI can directly call a function to get our location. And here, I'm just going to have OpenAI do it for us, rather than manually writing this JSON. This function will return the user's approximate location. Expect it to return city or county data because precision is not needed. This API is meant to be used in tandem with the weather API to get local weather for the user. But we don't need extremely accurate data to provide a good user experience. Let's generate it and let's see how it does. All right, user ID, so we don't want that. We'll remove that. We'll remove that. We don't want any user ID. So it misunderstood slightly, but that's fine. We can just modify this. All right, we'll just leave the rest as is. And let's try it out. Now it has access to two functions. You'll see that it's asking for the location directly instead of asking the user. If your website or mobile app already has access to location data, this likely makes more sense. It'll be more seamless and faster. And let's provide something somewhat ambiguous, just 3 letters, but hopefully the AI understands what we mean. So here it took NYC, it passed it in directly as the location, and you can see it's now asking for weather in NYC. Depending on the API we're using, this might not actually work because, like I said, it's a bit ambiguous. Not every API is going to support something as unclear as simply saying NYC. But let's go for it to finish out this example. Say temp F is going to be 43. Great. So although this is a very simple example still, you can see it being slightly more agent-like in that the AI made a function call, got some information, and based on that information, it decided to make another function call. This can go on indefinitely. Depending on the type of agent you build, it can continuously operate, continuously call new functions, and respond to the new information as it comes in. Now let's move on to building something a bit more agent-like with actual code.
So here I created an example project. And what this project does is it acts sort of like the intelligent code search in tools like Cursor or Windsurf, where you tell it what you want, and it'll go and search the code base for you. Let's have an example. You don't have to use bun for this, but I use bun because I don't like build steps, and I don't want to worry about building TypeScript into JavaScript. So we'll run it. It'll say you need to provide a command. Let's do that. All right, so now it is in touch with the code base. You can see what model it's using, and we're ready to go. Let's add something simple. All right, it found that via the README, so we can see over here the tool use. It used the find tool to go figure out what files are available, and then after that, once it saw that README was available, it just looked at the contents, and having the contents, it was able to answer the question pretty easily. Let's try another one. So it was able to find the tools. And that's the idea. This is a pretty simple code base, but you can see that the AI will use tools, and it'll use multiple tools in a row to try to find what it's looking for. Obviously, this could go on forever, which is why in the code, whenever you type a new line on the command line in the REPL, it will get sent over here. And in the process input, we're limiting the number of attempts to 20. That's what this loop does. So we just loop through, and if the message is not a tool call, then we just continue on, which is what this return statement does here, an early return. Otherwise, we have to fulfill the tool call, which we do down here, but that's sort of beyond the point. The point is not exactly how this works. The point is more that with a pretty simple loop, you can get something that looks a lot like an agent, and it is an agent. Whether or not it's a good agent, whether or not it's capable is another matter. But it's a quick way to get started, and this way at least you understand what the agents are doing under the hood without having to dive into some code base that has a lot going on already. All this code is available on GitHub, which I showed earlier in the video, but I'll link it again. So if you're interested in looking at it directly, head on over there.